Vybz Kartel is entertaining millions of people around the world when truly he should be in prison. That was the words of new Chief Judge Brian Sykes.
Yeah, man, I say I don't know what first is the 90s, boss. I represent for Dancehall info. You see me, I say connect up right now. Make sure you follow the page, subscribe and follow and everything. You see me, I say support the movement. Polo shirt and the damn shirts, tight jeans with a bad clocks. Dancehall info. No boy, man, that first I represent.
Head of Jamaica's Judiciary Chief Justice Brian Sykes on Monday highlighted dancehall artist Adidja Vybz Kartel Palmer murder case as the poster child for how internal efficiencies can affect justice, and stressed that time standards established for the courts are of prime importance in dispensing justice. Addressing the 6th Judiciary Strategic Management Retreat, Sykes argued that judicial officers have ultimately the greatest impact on the performance of the courts. He pointed out that there is an increasing recognition that the efficiency of the courts is not so tied to the amount of resources in the system as it is to the performance and the behavior of the judicial officers. As such, the Chief Justice urged participants to utilize the strategic planning sessions to think more deeply about these things and how we are going to improve our efficiency, not for the sake of numbers, but also for the service delivery, so that persons can predict with reasonable accuracy how long the matters will take and consequently how much money they will have to expend. In highlighting the Palmer case as is now the best example of how internal efficiencies can affect justice, Sykes said, "So here we have a case in which no court has said that the evidence could not sustain the conviction. No court has said that. But the case went down because of internal efficiency. That's what happened. So what we have is a gentleman, the deceased. I don't know how many of you have read the case, but he was literally beaten to death by his attackers, and the family did what they were supposed to do. The police did what they were supposed to do. The forensic service did what they were supposed to do. Matter came to court. Judicial error occurred. But had our internal processes been what it ought to be, in all probability, there would have been a retrial," the Chief Justice said. So what we have is that Mr. Palmer and his co-defendants are happy as they ought to be because it took a very long time. But what about the family of the deceased? They can't say that the justice system worked for them. And it can't be that a litigant, a witness, the police, the forensic service, they do the prosecution, they do their jobs, and because of our internal inefficiency, a man who should really be sitting down behind bars is now free as a bird, entertaining countless millions of persons, and the family of the deceased don't even have the satisfaction of saying, well, at least someone was convicted for the murder of their son, their father, their uncle, or whatever other role he may have had in that particular family structure. And that is why time standards matter, Sykes said. So the Adidja Palmer case is an extreme case, but nonetheless, it has actually happened, the Chief Justice added. He said that the case is in itself an important example to trial courts. For those of us in the trial courts, one of the important lessons, if you look at the decision coming out of the Court of Appeal, particularly on the criminal side, you see increasingly the complaint, and which the Court of Appeal is responding to by reducing sentences and so on and so forth. But again, that is fine. I have no problem with that. But you have to think now about those who turn up and gave evidence, sometimes at risk to life and limbs, said Sykes. And then now, when they read about this in the newspaper, they say, but is what kind of system this? Imagine me go to court now, I hide from all sorts of persons, and the man only get this. So those are the things that undermine public trust and confidence. So you can, in fact, follow the law, but people don't have the confidence in it because it takes too long. So when we come here and we plan, it is really not a week of relaxation. It is a week where we give serious thoughts to how we do what we do. And when we return, we should return with a commitment to improve service delivery to our citizens. keeping adjournment to a minimum. Only necessary adjournment should be granted, he said. In July last year, Palmer and his co-accused were set free after the Court of Appeal ruled against retrying them for the murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Palmer, Sean Storm Campbell, Kyra Jones, and Andre St. John's were convicted of the September 2011 murder of Williams in 2014. During the murder trial, one juror was accused of offering bribes to other jurors, and after the court became aware of that allegation, the judge chose to continue the trial instead of dismissing the jury and moving to empanel a new jury. Subsequently, Palmer was sentenced to life in prison with eligibility of parole after serving 35 years. His co-accused, Campbell, Jones, and St. John's, were also handed life sentences. Campbell and Jones would have been eligible for parole after serving 25 years, while St. John's was to be eligible for parole after serving 15 years. However, following an appeal, the men's parole time were reduced by 2.5 years each. Lawyers representing the quartet took the case to the local court of appeal in 2020, but their convictions were upheld. The appeal was then taken to the United Kingdom Privy Council on March 14, 2024. Their murder convictions were overturned on the grounds of juror misconduct. The Privy Council then remitted the case back to the Jamaica Court of Appeal to decide whether there should be a retrial. The prosecution's case was that the correspondence and the communication media, taken as a whole with the evidence of the sole eyewitness, prove the fact of the killing, the reason of the killing, the method of disposal of the body, and the identity of at least one of the killers. However, during a 5-day hearing in June, the appeal court panel reiterated concerns that for at least 2 of the men there was danger that they could be prejudiced, given the length of time already spent behind bars. In ordering the release of the men, appeal court judges said they considered 12 factors in arriving at the decision not to retry them. The factors include the absence of evidence, the absence of defense witness, the absence of prosecution witness, the physical, psychological, and emotional health of Palmer, and the possibility that Campbell and Jones would get more time if a new trial was ordered. The Court of Appeal also noted that the estimation was that it would take 15 years before the matter would go for a retrial. And people, the source was from a Jamaica Observer. And I always say this still, Kartel is one of the luckiest man them on earth. God no. Yeah, because the way how him release, the way how him get free, and I not say this because I see how the man guilty or whatever, People, me just attack it like how it is, the way how me see it from my perspective, my opinion. Me just have it to say, this man is very lucky. Very, very lucky. And you see, the new Chief Judge, Brian Sykes, come reiterate it. And I always say to people, the brother, the juror, I do even feel upon the brother there, I always say, him are the key man, no pun intended, in a cartel case. The reason why cartel is free, him it stem from, him go bribe the jury them and take the jury and cause all of this. Because even when the case was going to the UK Privy Council, nobody was thinking about the jury. Everybody was thinking about like misuse of evidence and all of those things. People never think about the juror. I always wonder where that guy is, I think his name is something another Livingston, something like that, because I did a video on him. Sometimes I say, this brother must be somewhere well relaxed on a beach with millions, with whole heap of money, just relax. Because I make cartel free, big woman thing, and I think about as opposed to a 1 year he got, or even less than 1 year sentence he got. Yeah, I'm not lie. I him make cartel free. That brother, that juror brother, will go around and bribe the people them. If it wasn't for him, the UK Privy Council would have upheld the case. They would have quashed it and sent it back to Jamaica for Jamaica decide if retrial for go on. They would have just upheld it, and that's where it would have ended. So when time when you see Kartel cry on stage, don't feel like it's a fake cry or it's an acting thing. Kartel is one of the luckiest man on earth. Enough time I just see Kartel on stage and I just try to think what could I in a film brain right now for no say, him just there in a little 8x6 cell where him sleep, there is a eat, there is a defecate, there is a urinate, there is a, I know him there on the stage against all the odds in front of thousands of people performing. Is it? Big one thing. Kartel must have say him live him dream, him sweetest dreams where him had while him in prison.
Yeah, man, I say I don't know what Francis in the 90s, boss. I represent for Dancehall Info. You see me, I say, connect up right now. Make sure you follow the page, subscribe and follow and everything. You see me, I say, support the movement. Polo shirt and the damn shirts, tight jeans with a bad clocks. Dancehall Info. No boy, man, not fresh I represent.